doing Of Mice and Men tonight. And I also did Of Mice and Men. My prompt was to discuss the ideas of power, property, and society, and I had 3 book choices, so I decided to go with Of Mice and Men for this one. Alright. So just a quick introduction. Of Mice and Men focuses on the lives of George Milton and Lenny Small, which are 2 friends who are working towards a shared dream of owning their own piece of land during the Great Depression, which is what the book is mainly about. And my thesis is the ideas of power, property, and society are all integral to the story development in Of Mice and Men. And I decided to tackle just each one and what it contributes to the actual book, each idea. So let's look at power and how it's displayed. In Of Mice and Men, power is showed through power struggles with various groups. So the first we have struggles between characters, and there's so many of these in the book, but one of the notable ones is between Curly and Slim. You can see there's a very large different level of maturity between Slim when he decides to use physical violence against Lenny instead of using his words. And Slim instead actually handles the situation with tact and intelligence when he tells Curly that he must not reveal the truth of his injury and should say his hand was caught in a machine. So that part with Curly just using physical violence instead of using his words just shows that there's clear disparity there. And also another character power struggle, like Curly's wife and Curly, that's another one with the toxic marriage they had. There's also power struggles within social groups. So for example, the workers on the farm treated Curly's wife with a sense of distance and wariness. Steinbeck didn't even give her a name, and she was seen as a temptress and manipulator throughout the novel. In this book, women have the short end of the stick in terms of equal treatment. We can also see disparities in how the ranch treats Crooks, which is the black worker. He's treated unfairly due to the color of his skin, like when he's prohibited from being in the bunkhouse with the white ranch hands. And then finally, we have power struggles with farm owners and migrant workers. The farm owners treated their workers with disrespect and had a tyrannical approach to dealing with their farm hands. During this time period, migrant workers were subjected to harsh working conditions and low wages due to the desperation for work during the Great Depression. So that's power. Power struggles in Of Mice and Men are displayed throughout the novel in order to convey the clear socioeconomic disparities of the time period. All right, so now we have property. I'm going to see what that represents. So what I saw as, I'm going to look at 2 different pieces of property in the book, which is George and Lenny's farm and then the actual ranch where they're at. And I kind of saw it as each one, the first one is dreams we have in our life, and the second one is what actually our life is. So George and Lenny's farm was a powerful symbol that seduced not only the characters but also the reader into the possibility of a free life. It was a paradise for men who wanted to be masters of their own lives. In contrast, the ranch represents the inevitable life of unending work and servitude. It was the reality for the characters of the book, and it may be reality for some of us today. I think Steinbeck was trying to convey the idea that sometimes dreams will only ever be dreams, and especially during a cruel time period like the Great Depression, that sometimes these dreams just cannot happen. All right. Steinbeck uses property symbols to show the dreams of the characters while also grounding them in reality. And then finally, we have society and its purpose in Of Mice and Men. So the society that Steinbeck created in this book was done to show the reader the historical context of the book. So we have the Great Depression, obviously, which shows itself with the setting of the book. It takes place in Salinas, California during the 1930s, which is where the Great Depression hit workers the hardest in the US. The book also goes into detail with the harsh working conditions through George and Lenny, as well as the cruelty of the landowners represented by the boss and his son Curly. And then we also have the impossibility of the American dream. It just to display how it felt to work during this time period. Most of the characters in the novel admit to dreaming of independent and successful life. We have Curly's wife with being a movie star, and George, Lenny, and Candy with the farm, and Crooks also wanting to be in on that. However, there are a lot of circumstances in her life, and for Curly's wife, it was a toxic marriage, and for George, Lenny, and Candy, it was socioeconomic inequality. These circumstances often interrupt future plans that deprive us from freedom and contentment. All right, so in conclusion, without the ideals of power, property, and society, Of Mice and Men would miss crucial facets of the story and its context with these three aspects.